The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. We're so glad that you joined us today on show number 563. I always say to go to stewart.com/radio. That's where you can see and hear the show. You can access the show archives at stewart.com/radio. Let's get down to business. We have a tremendous show. We assemble tremendous guests each and every week. Today is going to be a lot of fun as we welcome Jamie Fallon. She's the Director of Sales with Next Gen Real Estate. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Bill. Appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate seeing you, and it's been a while. You've been on the show a long time ago, but let's tell people about your company.
Next Gen Real Estate is a little bit innovative, as a matter of fact. We are the number one social media real estate company in all of Houston, and I would say probably all of Texas. Most of our agents, we have about 230 agents. They're micro-influencers. Our CEO is Julia Wang. She's also an influencer and has about 450,000 Instagram followers. So when you put your house on the market, or if you're an investor and put your house on the market with Next Gen, you can be sure that it's going to have over 1 million views within a few hours.
And no doubt about it. And innovation, too. What could be better than that?
Yeah, innovation's huge. I mean, if you are an old dog in real estate and you're not doing Instagram and you're not doing Facebook, you're not doing all the things, AI is taking over the country right now. It's taking over the world, and you are going to be left behind.
And let's tell people about what you're doing in terms of leading this team. How many people are you working with, and how those mechanics work?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a full team at Next Gen. We've got our CEO. We have our VP, Andrea Tran, that kind of does all of our DBA teams. I am the supervisory broker, so I'm boots on the ground. I deal with agents on a day-to-day basis, contractual questions. I help them get developments with builders. And of course, you know, before in the previous shows, I've talked to you about my residential development company that I have as well. So we have a plethora of different facets of our company, but we primarily focus on new construction with our agents.
And we have something special we want to talk about, but just give us as you are boots on the ground in your words, give us an idea of the real estate market just generally here in Houston and perspective.
Right now we're in a buyer's market, which has been unusual since COVID kind of took over, Houston. Everybody moved here in droves. Now we're strictly buyer's market. I'm seeing more inventory. I'm noticing that if houses aren't updated, if people haven't taken the time to put a little bit of money into their properties, they're sitting. The houses that are renovated, though, ladies and gentlemen, fresh coat of paint, maybe some new flooring, nice little pressure wash outside, those are starting to move. So as you and I talked about before the show started, we both anticipate a rally at the end of June, July. I think rates will drop, as you said before, and I think the Fed is on the right track now.
And you had something special, Jamie, a special community to talk about that, and it goes with what you started out with in terms of innovation. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, innovation, love it or hate it.
I love it.
Elon Musk has come up with, of course, a very innovative product, the Tesla product. I do have an investor. They are with Utopia Homes, the Goldman Investments. This gentleman, Hadar Goldman, decided he wanted to bring Tesla into homes. So we've got a product of 11 properties in the Heights at the Oaks of Shady Acres that has Tesla shingles on the roof. And I'm not talking those big, ugly platform solar panels that are rectangle. I'm talking shingles. And so they are the top fire rated, wind rated, water rated, everything. And what they do is they convert solar energy from the sun into an inverter inside the house and into this little box. And then out it pops electricity. So you are no longer on the grid. I mean, think about that. how many times, Bill, have you lost power in your house over the last year? Be
Pretty
realistic.
much one time. Yeah, I average one time in my neighborhood.
One time in your neighborhood. So you're
Per
lucky.
year.
You're lucky because most people inside the loop and in Katy, those areas, Cypress, they're losing power on a quarterly basis. And it used to be for a day or two at a time, max. Now it can be a week. It can be 2 weeks. There's people dying from losing power. And we have this week, do we not have record-breaking highs coming in the hundreds? And it's May. So think about not ever losing power again. So these houses don't have to be connected to the grid. And so what you can also do, you can take that energy from the house that's converted and stored in these power walls. It's called a power wall. So you essentially have these batteries inside your house that stores power. And then what you can do is you can sell it back to the grid. So not only do you become a homeowner, you also get a 30% write-off from the government for having a solar home. And you can sell your power back to the grid. Crazy.
So trying to picture this, these are not solar panels.
No.
These are shingles that are miniature little panels. Would
I
that
guess
be
you
safe
can
to
say?
say?
I mean, just
but
picture
it's on the whole
a shingle.
house.
Yeah,
right?
it's on the
whole
entire
house.
roof. It's on the entire roof. And so we've integrated these shingles and this technology into these properties. And to do your own home, it would probably cost anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000. So if you are if you're going to take a generator or rip your roof off and change your shingles at any time, whatever, if you were to do those two things, you're right around $50,000 anyway, because a new roof is going to cost you around $30,000, depending on the size of your house. Just to get your house ready for a generator is going to cost about $15,000 to $20,000. So why wouldn't you be completely off the grid and own your own power?
And these are homes that are available
right now. Yes, sir.
And so you have this innovative technology harnessing the abundant sun power here in Houston.
Yeah.
It's like we live on the sun
Yes,
in
we
these
do.
hot days. But these are also brand new homes.
Yes, brand new homes. They're right inside the Heights area. It's called the Oaks of Shady Acres. Listed for around $525,000. The larger plan is around $545,000. In that neighborhood, there's also new construction and other properties the same price, but without the technology. So why would you buy an old dog when you could get a new dog that's shiny and pretty?
Now, what if I want to buy 2 of these homes, Jamie?
You can buy 2, baby. I'll give
so
you a discount.
no limit. So we
you
get
can buy 4.
All right, I'll get a real discount on 4. But in the meantime, this is a very exciting thing.
Yeah, very
It's
exciting.
exciting to know that it's available right now. People can buy these homes and, again, harness the sun power, which is fantastic.
Right. Yeah, if you Google Tesla Homes Houston right now, you can see the zillions of news articles and videos and everything have been done on it. We've been on Newsweek, Reuters, we've been all over the place. And so it just, to me, the next house that I buy will definitely be one of these products or I might build one myself.
Well, it's going to be interesting. This is just the beginning of all in terms
Absolutely.
of technology and certainly Houston, Texas, as big as we are and all the different things and drivers that are going on.
Yeah.
We're going to be, I think, one of the main places where innovation comes in every category.
Absolutely. We're chock full of oil and gas companies that are now starting to look at natural renewable resources. And so it's just a matter of time before clean energy it takes over the world.
And give us an idea. You do so many things, Jamie.
Yes, sir.
Give us some of the other things that you're doing in the real estate world.
I'm a residential developer, so I just built and sold 4 properties, 4-story homes in the Emancipation Park, 5th Ward area. I just renovated a 1965 home, and this one was near and dear to my heart because I love those old mid-century modern homes. And so I added on to it, ripped the roof off, did all the things, gutted it to the studs, and now it's a brand new home, but I brought life back into those properties. So that's my favorite thing to do is to take the older homes and stick with the architectural renderings that are currently there and build on them and modernize them slightly.
It's funny you mentioned 1965.
Yeah.
I wasn't even born, but
Me neither.
that said, I was talking to my daughter-in-law, and we were talking about new homes, and she goes, "Oh, well, the new homes aren't built as well as the old homes."
They're not.
Well, is that really true? And tell us about in the 1965 vintage, were they really built better?
Yes,
what do you see?
the cabinetry in these things, I tried to, and people are going to kill me for this, but it was old cabinets. They needed to come down just because of the aesthetic design of them. But if you try to sledgehammer those, they're made of solid oak. And I'm not talking solid oak little sheets that are plied together. These are solid oak plywood, or not plywood, but wood. The original studs were still standing, except for the ones that were eaten by termites, which was half of the house. But just know that if you go old, and if it's not termite driven, eaten, then you're in good shape. Just add some new insulation and roll on.
Again, though, the new homes I don't know how bad they can be because they have energy efficient features, spray foam insulation in some cases.
They do.
And those are the kind of things that I think you need because we're in such a hot place and we depend on air conditioning. It's life support here.
Yeah, radiant attic barriers are super important. Your low-E LED windows, those types of things. But in terms of being completely brick built, I think a brick build is obviously going to be better than just wood.
We're talking with Jamie Fallon. Her company is Next Gen Real Estate. What are some of the other things we should know, Jamie?
I think that at this point in the game, it's a buyer's market. So if you have two nickels to rub together, there's crazy programs out there. I'm sure we'll hear from a lender. We hear from lenders on your show all the time, but people can do down payment assistance. There's help in every facet. So if you have a dream of becoming a homeowner, if you're tired of throwing away money on rent, go ahead and do it. Bite the bullet. Get with your trusted lender. Call me, for goodness sakes, and let's get it rolling.
Well, when would a good time to buy be?
Now. Because every single year, what are we seeing houses do? They increase. Your property value increases. Your taxes increase. Insurance increases. And so if you wait, then you're going to wait yourself out of the game, and then you're not going to be able to buy.
That's a good phrase. You can wait yourself out of the game.
Yep.
Buy now. I think it's a good idea because I think things are going up, and I really feel I'm not basing this on anything special, and I think rates are going to go down. But
absolutely.
Time will only
tell. It's cyclical. It's always cyclical.
Jamie, let's tell people how they can reach you, Jamie Fallon.
Yes, sir. Go to jamiefallon.com, and my phone number is 281-763-9825, and that's jamiefallon.com. 281-763-9825.
Jamie, thanks for being with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, Bill.
As we continue, let's talk to a husband and wife team, Vanessa and Faye Agiobene. Vanessa is with RE/MAX Leading Edge, and Faye is with Premier Coastal Mortgage. Hey, guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, Faye, here we are. We're going to talk money and real estate. They go hand in hand. Right?
Absolutely.
Well, first of all, Vanessa, let's tell people about RE/MAX and geographically kind of where you're doing most of your work.
Sure. I am with RE/MAX Leading Edge in Texas, and they are out of Galveston. I believe they are the number one on the island. I am also duly licensed. I am a broker in California, and my company is Exquisite Real Estate, Inc. We focus mostly on Sacramento, Walnut Creek, San Jose area. So I'm duly licensed.
And I'm going to guess they're number one because you're on the team.
I would hope so.
Faye, you would agree, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, here you are, husband and wife team, and it really sounds like it's very convenient to the people that you're serving, Vanessa, in terms of the buyers and sellers. That you right here, you have Faye helping with the money and bringing people to be able to put the dollars to get the homes.
It is. It's nice and convenient. Easily have your questions answered, and one-stop shop, pretty much.
Well, and of course, the husband and wife element, are you always talking work all the time, or do you ever get Faye? Tell me, is there any a time where you're just not discussing business and just other stuff?
Absolutely. During the day, absolutely all work. At night or after hours, we try not to mix the two together. So try to keep it separate to stay sane.
See, there you go. That's there for other husband and wife teams in the real estate world. There's words of wisdom that they could work with, right, Vanessa?
Right. There's a nice balance there.
So, and tell us about, just quickly, we'll go back to Houston, but it's always intriguing to hear about real estate in other markets. And here you are. You have a license in California, which is such an interesting state in so many ways.
Sure. I have about 15 agents, and we sell properties throughout Sacramento, Walnut Creek, San Francisco, Antioch, California. Fabulous agents. The market is slowing down just a little bit, but they are still moving, and there's a lot of potential for buyers. I have a brand new listing in Natomas, California. It is a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom, 3 stories. It's a single family home, and it's priced at $550. Square footage is 2242.
Now, that's surprising because I think we have an impression, I know I do, that everything is a million plus.
Mm-hmm.
But here's a home that actually sounds like a affordable home and sounds like a nice home.
Absolutely. It's a nice home. It's in a beautiful community, gated. There's different areas, different things, different price points in different areas. San Jose, California, that's where you're looking at average over $1 million per property.
California, right now, we hear about people that move. You're probably doing a lot of helping people moving back and forth to Houston, California, or not?
There's about 300 people that move out of California every day. About 200 move to the Houston area, not specifically from California, but 200 people move to Houston on a daily basis.
Say that again.
200 people move to the Houston area daily.
That's why the roads are the
Yeah.
way. That's why we have more. Our listeners are increasing on Sunday afternoon, the drive time. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, well, we hear about people that move from California specifically, and maybe you could add in New York City, but mostly California, where they have tons of money after they sell their homes for millions of dollars. They pay cash here, right? So when you're serving people in California, are they paying cash when they buy the home initially, or how often do you run into a cash California buyer?
Yes. Sometimes they do buy cash in California. Many times they do finance it as well. So there is both happening.
Well, Faye, here you are in the money world, helping Vanessa and others, no doubt, right?
Yes.
And geographically, what area do you serve mostly with helping with loans?
So Premier Coastal Mortgage is a nationwide lender. I'm physically in Texas City. I also manage a branch in Elk Grove, California, but we serve nationwide. We fund everywhere.
So then you also are able to work in California.
Absolutely.
Who would have thought that? Now, we've had many a husband and wife team, but not a husband and wife team that are working in both and licensed in both cities.
Yeah, it's a new look. Just with the migration of people, it works very well. When we're from California, we moved here, but obviously a lot of our business is still in California.
And how long ago did you make the move?
It'll be 4 years in November of this year.
In the areas in California you're talking about, the weather usually is way better, quote, than this, or no?
Weather is beautiful in California.
That's one of the good things.
Yes.
But then again, if you want to fill up your car, what's the going rate right now for a gallon?
Right now, you're probably about $5.50 per gallon.
Isn't that amazing? And it's quote low at a low level.
Yes. I think last year it hit $7 or close to $7. So
interesting.
Yeah, a lot cheaper here. I'll take this.
But now, speaking of things that might be similar in terms of a loan, would it be safe to say that if I get a loan from you,
yes,
Faye Ajubanet,
yes,
rolls right off the
Right
tongue,
off the
pretty
tongue.
nice, huh? So if I get a loan from you in Sacramento,
Yep.
all things considered, it's the same rate as it would be here in Texas City.
Correct.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of Texas City, Vanessa,
Yes.
you know a little bit about Texas City. Describe
do.
that. Describe it as you would to someone that is in California and says, Vanessa, I want to move to Texas City. What's it going to be like?
Sure. Well, we have a lovely master planned community in Texas City called Lagomar. It will consist of about 2,400 homes. It's got a beautiful 12-acre crystal clear lagoon with a clubhouse, 2 swimming pools, 2 gyms, and it's beautiful. It's resort-style living, golf cart community.
And what's the name of it again?
Lagomar.
Yeah, I heard about that a few years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Has it been around that long?
I would say about 2018 is when they started building in Lagomar.
So then these amenities sound like they're powerful enough to bring people into this community.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Yeah. Many people fly out of state to come and see it, so it's nice to have a nice sphere of influence that expands out of state.
So you mentioned the many people that are moving into Houston daily, and many of them are from California. So how often are you helping people that are in Houston and they say, I want to go to California? Does that happen?
Not as frequently, though it's so affordable to stay in Texas. and unfortunately not as affordable in California.
And then here in Houston, how often you run in when you're helping a buyer, say in the Houston area, how often are you running into cash buyers?
Not as frequently. I would say I do run into them, but not as frequently.
Interesting. Well, Faye,
Yes,
tell us
sir.
some of the other things we should know about them. What should people do to get ready for their loan, and when should they contact you when they're going to buy a home, say here in Texas City or anywhere in Houston?
I would say as soon as possible. I try to, if you're looking or have the thought of looking to purchase a home, I usually tell my clients to start, 60 to 90 days before you actually want to go out to look. So we can go over financials if we need to set them on a path to get approved. And all the little things here and there that go in the mortgage process. So 60, 90 days before.
And as you're familiar with both two markets, California, more so central Northern California, and Houston, is there anything that's different about the process, or?
I wouldn't say there's anything different besides pricing, obviously. But as far as the qualification, what's required, what's needed.
If people are living in California where it's more expensive, you probably see, correct me if I'm wrong, they're making more money out there?
Yes. That's fair.
A lot more? More than me? Probably.
Nobody makes more than you.
I don't know about that. Before we close the segment, Vanessa, what are some of the other things we should know about how you're helping people, not just in Texas City, but also around the area, right?
Sure. I think as a broker owner, I've had a wide range of experience and overview of what's happening. I would say to both buyers and sellers right now, some things have changed. It is now the buyer's responsibility to make sure that the agent gets paid. However, it's always been negotiable, and for the most part, we're still asking for sellers to pay that commission. Sellers should be realistic into the market changing, leaning more towards a buyer's market, buyers asking for concessions, things like that.
Everything's negotiable still, right?
Everything is negotiable.
Vanessa, let's tell people how they can reach you.
My phone number is 832-225-8648. Sure, my phone number is 832-225-8648.
And Faye, there's a lot of people out there that say, hey, Faye's the guy to call for some money. How can they reach you?
You can call or text 832-703-1008. 832-703-1008.
Well, thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As we continue, let's talk to Brandon Hogue. He is the owner of Structured Foundation Repairs in Houston. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, here you are. Foundations are so important. I mean, we build homes on foundations, and every now and then they have to call you Structured Foundation Repairs.
Yes, sir. The foundations are critical for any part of life, but especially your home. We're the guys that you call if you see cracks and things like that, doors sticking, cracks in the tiles, the brick, things like that.
Well, while I'm thinking of it, I want to ask the question, and it's a general question. Were homes built better years ago from a foundation standpoint than what we're finding right here in the 2025, 24, 23? What do you see?
The construction of foundations is pretty cookie cutter anymore. About from the 90s on is when you see post-tension slabs being built. Post-tension cables are cables that run through the slab that give the concrete of your slab a lot of tensile strength. It used to be that they would build slabs with rebar, and we find that post-tension cables are really better or give the concrete more tensile strength and the ability to hold together a little bit better. However, I still see post-tension slabs all week long, every single month. So there's really nothing to tell me that we see any reduced rate of failure, but I do think that the post-tension slabs that are newer tend to hold together a little bit better, as opposed to cracking up.
And probably the thing that is on people's mind, what are the warning signs? I mean, I guess cracks in the walls and things, but when should we call someone like you to come out and check things out? I mean, what are we looking for?
Right. So when you start to see things on your home, on the exterior, things like cracks in the brick or separations between the window frames and the brick, if you have expansion at the expansion joints that are built into your brick, those are the exterior things that we look for. And then on the interior, you're talking about drywall cracks, doors that are out of square or they stick, or tile cracks. Sometimes those tile cracks can be hard to notice. Sometimes we'll see stress signs that a homeowner never saw. So it is sort of on a scale between you don't have a problem to, have you priced out demolition on this one? That's very rare that we find that. But then you also have those kind of in the middle of that spectrum where it's not as noticeable. So sometimes you actually have a problem and you may not notice it. But if you start to see those things on the inside or the outside, that's when you need to give us a call.
And would the good news be that you can fix the problem most or all of the time?
The vast majority of the time, problems are very fixable, and most of the time we can fix them within a day or two. Very, very rare that I run into a house that you can't fix because it's not reinforced or something like that. I might see one of those every 5 years or something like that, but that's a rarity. Most problems are very, very fixable.
And then when you visit a home to inspect it to see if there's a problem that needs serious fixing, how long does it take you to figure that out and then to share that with the homeowner?
It usually takes us about an hour.
That's all.
Yeah, to do our evaluations. If it's a larger house or something like that, it may take us an hour and a half or 2 hours. But what we do is we draw the property up on an app that we have on a tablet, and then we take photos of any of the stress signs. Even if they're subtle, we'll take photos of the stress signs so that we can show you. And then we take an elevation survey of the foundation itself. If it's an old pier and beam house or a newer pier and beam house, we'll crawl underneath the fun part, crawl underneath to inspect everything that makes up the understructure of that foundation. And then what we do is we look at deviation in the elevation pattern. We look at stress, most importantly, on the house. That's the most important thing because that tells us if and how the house moved. And then we look at those elevations and we compare them to the American Society of Civil Engineers guideline, which is a guideline that builders use when they construct a slab. But there are exceptions to that. We can have numbers that are beyond that guideline and not have a problem, or numbers within that guideline and have a problem. So we can't just go off of the numbers. But those are important, but the stress is really the most important thing.
And when you mention the stress, you see where the stress is coming from. Where does stress on a home come from?
So the reason that your homes develop foundation problems is because of the soil that we sit on and the weather. You had your guest Jamie on earlier. She talked about it being 100 degrees. Later, even just in May, we're not even to really the hot part of summer yet.
I know. I'm distressed about it. Seriously, I'm not looking forward to it.
I'm excited about it.
I'm happy for you.
But anyway, what that does is it dries out our clay-based soil. That causes the soil to shrink, and then if you take your slab foundation, your slab will flex downward, and that up and down motion, or that flex of the slab, is what creates cracks in the slab. And then ultimately, as those cracks propagate through the slab starts to settle along those cracks, and that's when we have a problem.
Well, if someone's considering buying a home, new or otherwise, certainly that everyone should get an inspection, right?
Right. So we do a lot of business with real estate agents, a ton of business with them. We look at homes for their buyers and their sellers, and it's usually a house that has been inspected, and the general inspector, finds an issue that he thinks needs more investigation. Maybe there's a brick crack or something like that. They're going to flag that in their report, and that's when you give us a call. But if you suspect that there's an issue, even if it hasn't been flagged or the inspector hasn't been out, but you see that crack or you see some things that you're concerned about, you can give us a call and we come out.
That easy.
So
the good news is you can fix it. The bad news is if there's a serious problem, well, you have to tell the homeowner.
Yeah. I've sat with homeowners in tears before I've been yelled at, but in reality,
it's not your fault.
It's not. But we're just calling balls and strikes on these things. But it really is not as bad as generally people are thinking it's going to be, and generally it doesn't cost as much as people think it will.
We're talking with Brandon Hogue. He's the owner of Structured Foundation Repairs. Just a quick word, Brandon. How in the world did you get into the foundation business? Of all the things you could do, what was it about this profession that brought you?
It's a good question. I actually was in the healthcare business. I was a corporate guy and was in an office every day, and I hated every minute of it. And my brother-in-law, so a family member, opened up a business up in the Dallas area and asked me if I wanted to be part of it. And so I joined him in that venture and just took to it. It was great. I've loved it ever since.
Here you are doing tremendous work.
Yes, sir.
Brandon, let's tell people how they can reach you if they're concerned about their foundation. Maybe they want an inspection on some properties they're going to buy. How can they reach you at Structured Foundation Repairs?
So you can call our office at 832-230-5490. You can also go to our website. That's www.structuredhouston.com. And you can reach us through the website as well. It's 832-230-5490.
Thanks for being with us,
Yes,
Brandon.
sir. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk to Steve Rosenberg. Steve is an international airline pilot for United Airlines. In addition, has been, maybe still is, a real estate investor, but also does a lot of coaching, a lot of public speaking probably around the world, but certainly the United States. Steve Rosenberg, welcome back to the show.
Bill, it's good to see you again, buddy.
Well, here you are doing tremendous work out there. You're an inspiration, Steve, in so many ways, if nothing more than the idea of approaching challenges. There you are, guiding, leading the charge on flying international flights. That in itself is 20 shows we could talk about. But let's tell people what you're doing in some of these things.
Yeah, so, sold my property management company that I had here in the Houston market. And, my business partner, Pete, and I, the way we built it is we built it the way airlines run: systems, processes, checklists. And after we started, building it and sold it to a venture capital firm, just had people approach me asking me if I could help them build their businesses the same way. Real estate investors, property managers, realtors, roofers, contractors, anyone in the trade industry. One of the biggest challenges is they don't know how to get recurring revenue systematized over and over again. Well, at our property management company, we were the fastest growing property management company in the state of Texas before we sold it. So I show people how to grow and scale their businesses so that it can run without them, which is processes, procedures, structure, and everything that's needed to do so.
And as far as when I talk about coaching and things like that, what are you doing right now and how are you helping people?
Yeah, so right now I do coaching. I have clients all over the world. I'm fortunate enough that I get to travel the world and speak, definitely around the U.S., but all over the world. I'm coaching people, showing them how to actually monetize their business. There's 3 legs to a business. There's monetization, systemization, and duplication. Monetization is kind of the way we need oxygen to breathe. Your business needs money to survive. And a lot of times we focus on systems or these back-end things, but we don't actually focus on making money. And the problem is if your bank account says 0, it doesn't matter how great your systems are. You have no money and you're going out of business. So a lot of the contractors, trades, realtors, they don't focus on the craft of being a communicator. They don't focus on the craft of selling, closing, and understanding that they're solving a problem and you have to have a solution for them. And they don't focus on that part of it, which communicators are the most successful, wealthiest people on the planet, not from a monetary standpoint, but just from a standpoint that they're able to communicate. I get a lot of people that will say, well, Steve, I'm not a salesperson. Well, they actually sold themselves on the idea that they're no good. So
Right.
They actually made the ultimate sale. So if talking to your spouse about you want Mexican, she wants Italian food, talking to your kids about cleaning their room, talking to your employees about your vision, all these things is selling. So it's just communicating. People just have an averse mindset over money. So when I say selling, they think they cover their pocket thinking money. It's not money. It's just communicating. So what I'm doing is I coach people and show them that they need to focus on that before they focus on anything else. Money solves short-term problems. It doesn't solve long-term problems.
Well, and what I say this here, Stewart Title, we're an international company, but I remember one time years ago, you were actually in Australia,
Yeah.
and I think you called me on the phone, and you
Yeah.
actually had a Stewart Title rep that was in Australia. Remember that?
Yeah, I was in Sydney, and we're having lunch with a Stewart Title rep down there.
So
Yeah.
we're almost everywhere. But let's tell people the unique experience that you have, and more so the unique responsibility as an airline pilot, especially international as you're traveling further. I mean, so many things come into play. You're responsible for so many lives that are on board if there's a mistake that's made. And the systems, processes and procedures are paramount, right? But what you've learned in that role and the role that you're still in, and you've applied it to business in a fascinating way through these decades.
Yeah, I remember when this kind of epiphany came to me. We were building our business, and we were building it so fast that we're actually putting ourselves into bankruptcy because we didn't have any back-end structure. And so what happened is one day I fly a Boeing 777, and I was sitting at the gate, and I was going to take it out to Tokyo. And as I'm watching this plane, so if you imagine the size of this aircraft, it's 770,000 pounds. It holds 380 passengers. It is the length of a football field, and one of the engines is the size of a 737 fuselage airplane. So it's like an apartment complex with wings, basically. And so this massive thing, it's just huge. When it comes up to the gate, I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and as I'm watching, it's called the dance in our industry, but I'll just explain it for the people to understand. Is you have 350 passengers getting off the aircraft. Cargo bays are opened, and all of their bags are offloaded and dispersed everywhere else, either other aircraft or to the baggage carousel that's miraculously where they are going. You've got cleaners coming in, and they're cleaning the inside of the aircraft, all the trash and everything out. And then from the other direction, you have catering, water, consumables, food, all getting restocked. Then you have the fuelers. So this plane, Bill, it holds 250,000 pounds of fuel. It takes 1 hour to high pressure fuel this. So they're hooking up these huge, massive fuel lines to fuel this thing. Maintenance is walking around. They're checking the tires, the wheels, structural integrity of the aircraft. Then you got the flight attendants. They're in the back. They're checking safety of flight items, emergency exits, oxygen. And the pilots, we are up in front. We're loading the flight plan, the computers, the routes. We're talking about emergencies, alternates, deviations, everything that could happen to get the aircraft from A to B, safe, secure, and on time. Okay. During that time, 350 passengers are reboarding back on this aircraft, and all of their bags are somehow miraculously found from where they were connecting or originating, loaded into the belly. And in 1 hour, this aircraft pushes back, and not one person had to talk to anyone else to do their job. Now, this could be in Sydney, Australia, London, England, Los Angeles. To me, when I saw this happen, I'm like, that is a perfect system, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I thought, why can't we do this in our business? Why can't we run our business the way airlines run? And the answer was, we could, and we did.
And you're Steve Rosenberg spreading that word on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But no, it's an incredible, just the picture you paint, it's an incredible massive display of teamwork in that special way. But then let's take it on. You're on the plane. Yep. You're flying the plane with your co-pilot.
My buddies.
Your buddies.
350 of my favorite friends.
Are you ever over the Pacific Ocean and you say, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. So I grew up in Los Angeles, and I remember as a little kid, I didn't know anything about planes, but I remember looking up in the sky and seeing these aircraft coasting out, going feet wet over the water, and thinking, I wonder where they go. Like, I just remember thinking, I wonder where these things go.
Flying around.
And now I do that. And now I go to Australia. I just flew in from Hawaii this morning. And I'm that guy now. And I think, I wonder if there's any kids down there thinking the same thing that I used to thought.
I bet there are.
Because I tell people it is the best job in the world. People say, well, if you're so successful, why do you quit? I'm like, where does it say that you should quit doing what you love? And I truly love traveling the world. As you know, I go everywhere. I've been to every continent except Antarctica and almost every city in the world. And I love it. I love it.
Steve, let's tell people how they can reach out to you if they need encouragement or anything else.
Yeah. First, they can go to my website, steverosenberg.com. It's ROZENBERG. I'm on all the social media channels, Instagram, Facebook. If they want to see me traveling, where I'm at in the world, all those things. I'm pretty easy to find if you Google me. I speak all over. I do a education event every month, actually, here in Houston, Texas. And if anybody calls or reaches out to me and they mention your name, I'm happy to give some sponsored tickets, 2 sponsored tickets. I do them every month in Houston, and I show people how to grow and scale their business and how to be the leader they need to be to grow that business.
Sounds good to me. SteveRosenberg.com, right?
That's it. They can do that. It's area code 832-496-8578.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is, just flew in from Texas A&M, John Bramlett.
Well, thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. Actually, I just flew in from an HMBA board meeting. But
That's right, yeah. Well, we're going to hear some interesting things about your role as it's evolving with HMBA pretty soon.
yeah, we'll have a conversation about that in the next month or so.
Super awesome. Well, what have you brought for us today, John?
Well, we spend a lot of time talking about coverages that we offer, and depending upon what needs are, what insurance plans make sense. But the other part of our job at Stewart Insurance is to help people manage risk. So if we can do some things working with whether they be individuals or real estate businesses to help them manage risk, and all a risk is the probability of something bad happening. So if we can do some things to minimize the chance of something bad happening, then we don't have to worry so much about needing to have that insurance used on a regular basis. So part of what we do working with our clients, especially on the business side, is help them minimize those risks.
And it's always a good idea to have a feel for what our risk, what our exposure is as we move through month to month, day to day.
Well, we found, through our studies and just, our experiences, that there are 8 kind of factors that can contribute to a realtor or real estate broker in the risks that they come across on a regular basis. And so when we're working with realtors or brokers, as we begin to make that or build that insurance plan, we always talk about these risks and how that they may or may not affect their business.
And of course, Stewart Insurance, you're there, you and the team at Stewart Insurance, you're there to help people, not just here in Houston, but all over the United States.
Absolutely. So whether we're dealing with a real estate broker here in Houston or elsewhere within the U.S., as we're beginning to build that relationship, or as things have changed within their business, part of those discussions we'll have will be just as many times just as a reminder of the risks that they face every day, because that's half the battle. If you're aware of those risks that are out there, then you can do things to minimize them.
That's right. And of course, we think about systems and procedures. At Stewart Insurance, your team also practices systems and procedures to help ensure people are properly insured.
We do. We want to make sure that we have these conversations and that the folks we understand somebody's business. We understand what their needs are. We understand what their concerns are. And based upon those, some that are known and some that are unknown, then we've got a better chance of building that proper plan.
That's fascinating, John. As always, insurance, people love the insurance segment, and they wonder week to week, what's he going to talk about next?
Well, and again, it would just be I'd like to share some of those risks that the folks see every day, just so, one, that they can be aware of them, and then two, if it makes sense, we can sit down and talk about how we can build a series of insurance plans that can help offset those if those situations were to come into play. And the areas or factors that we see that really come into play are, the property condition and history. So making sure that we understand the best we can what's that property condition, what's that history of the property, and what's the history of the neighborhood, because our clients are expecting us to be experts and understand that. Going hand in hand is what's that value of the property. We don't want to be in a situation where we've overvalued it and that's hindered the sale, or we've undervalued it, and when the sale occurs, somebody feels like that they've left money on the table. So we want to make sure that we work through those kind of things. Area-specific hazards. If we have somebody moving, we talked about earlier, somebody moving from California to Houston, they may not be able to spell hurricane, much understand what the devastation could be, or that Texas City might have a different concern than another part of the city or another part of the greater Houston area. So understanding those area-specific hazards and being able to share that with our clients is important. How we establish business relationships. Who are we referring? Have we done our homework on those that we're referring? Because if there's an issue on somebody that we referred, it's going to come back on us. So I'm not saying don't make referrals, just make sure that we're comfortable with who we're referring and we've done our homework on them. How do we manage information? We're all remote at some level in today's world. So how are we managing that information? How are we protecting that information? Because what we have on our clients is really private stuff, and these bad actors get a hold of that, they could do some significant damage. Hand in hand with that is how do we communicate electronically? We're finding through our interactions with brokers and with realtors that more and more people are wanting to interact via text. And that's great. It's fast. It's convenient. We can move things along. But you really can't get a feel for how somebody's feeling or what their true concerns are. You're limited to how much of a message you can deliver. So, how we're communicating electronically is critical, but it's also, again, another avenue for those bad actors, because our intent is to share positive information and help move the process along. Their intent, these bad actors, is to steal your money or steal your information. So how we use electronic communication is critical. Social media and advertising, again, a great marketing tool, and one that we're not saying don't use, but again, our intent is, look how happy my client is that they did business with me, or here are the types of homes or services that we provide that would allow you to accomplish the goals that you have for you and your family. But again, there's folks on the other side of that coin that their intent is, how can I steal money? How can I steal their information? How can I infiltrate that business? So we just got to keep that in mind as we're using social media as a tool. And then the last one, which we don't see as much anymore, but just the travel reliance. If you remember early on, you would go and pick up your client and you would take them around the city and show them homes. And, to today's market with people with Google Maps and with Wave and with Uber and Lyft, you can get around and meet people at homes. And it's just a safer, less of a riskier situation, because if you have somebody in the car with you and you were to have an accident, you've got some responsibilities. So we talk about those situations that potentially could be at risk with our clients, just to make sure that they understand them, and then we can also share with them ways that they can offset those risks. Well, if you would like to be properly insured, if you'd like to have that discussion about what are the risks that are out there and ways that you can minimize those, and then make sure that you have the proper coverage so that you can offset that exposure, we'd be happy to have that conversation. And you can reach us at Stewart Insurance at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. You can learn more about us at stewartinsurance.com, or you can email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
John, I was on the walking trail. I walk every morning
Yes,
for
sir.
exercise, and I ran into a guy, and he said he's in Green Trails over there in Katy.
Mm-hmm.
What number should he call? He said he wanted to be properly insured.
Well, the Green Trails number is 866-798-2827.
Let's talk again to Jamie Fallon. Jamie is with Next Gen Real Estate. Jamie, here we are at the final minutes of the show. What else do you want people to know about what you're doing?
Well, I do want to give a call to action to any real estate agent that's struggling out there that maybe needs an extra push. After listening to Steve Rosenberg speak, we're pretty much in the same alignment in what we do. We turn people from moderate producers into killers. And our job as real estate agents is to educate. We have one of the top education programs that I've created at Next Gen Real Estate. And we will teach you, number one, how to speak to people, how to be around people, and how to be better with people. Because at the end of the game, real estate's a people game, right? AI can't replace that human connection. So if you are interested in bringing your brokerage to NextGen, we have a DBA program, and just look us up on nextgen.com or jamiefallon.com and contact me at 281-763-9825. Again, that's jamiefallon.com, 281-763-9825.
And you mentioned texting, and everyone texting, calling. I mean, people prefer texting by and large, I'm feeling.
Sure.
But you know what, Jamie? I like to pick up the phone and
Me
talk
too.
to the person
Me
and
too.
say, hey, even if it's someone I'm looking at a listing in, say, Arkansas, or I'm looking at buying property here and there, I want the person to answer. I like that.
Me too.
The phone number again is?
281-763-9825.
And I'm going to just say it one time. You are Jamie Fallon,
Not to be
Jimmy
confused.
Fallon, because you're better to have on the show.
Come on. Look at me.
Jamie, thanks for being with us. Vanessa and Faye Agio-Bonet, they're back. Money and real estate, all to get, right there, money and real estate. That Faye is just a powerful combination, and that it's
Absolutely.
under kind of sort of the same roof is amazing, right?
Absolutely. Definitely connected. Last word, if you're looking for a mortgage, there is a loan product available. So whether it's FHA, VA, USDA, down payment assistance, construction loans, lot loans, HELOCs, which we all offer at Premier Coastal Mortgage, there's something available for everybody out there.
No doubt about it. And the good thing is that $1 in California is still $1 in Houston.
Absolutely.
So there's
Yes.
no money changing.
No.
Good to know. Vanessa, what else should we know about real estate right there? And tell people again where you're serving buyers and sellers.
Sure. I serve buyers and sellers in California and Texas. In Texas, mostly Texas City. I don't sell solar, but I do sell homes with solar. And in California, they've been mandating any homes built after 2020 to have solar.
That's
so I've
right,
sold
yeah.
quite a few. I would say not all solar loans are the same. There's a difference between a PACE solar loan and a regular solar loan. And if the homeowner doesn't reach out to a realtor and get educated before they put that solar loan on their property, it could make the difference between a short sale, foreclosure, or a traditional sale.
Once again, super awesome that you guys are connected and helping people with that power, that connection power.
Thanks. You can reach me online at texasmakethemove.com. That's texasmakethemove.com. Or you can reach me by text or cell at 832-225-8648.
Number again is?
832-225-8648.
And Faye, your phone number again is?
832-703-1008.
All right, guys, thanks for being with us. If I ever want to move to California, I'm going to call you, Vanessa.
Call me.
All right, and I'll bring dollars, cash. Here he is as we close things down. It's Brandon Hogue, owner of Structured Foundation Repairs here in Houston. Brandon, a final word. Those foundations are cracking as we speak, unfortunately, but you're there to help people.
Yes, sir. Summer is coming. And summer is when these issues start to get worse.
Is that right?
If you have existing issues, they're going to tend to get worse. If you don't have issues, you can develop issues, and that's because of our hot, dry weather. You know, possible we might get some storms in here, but a lot of our summers tend to be hot and dry. If you see things that you think are problematic now is the time to call. Okay, you can reach us at 832-230-5490, and you can also visit us at structuredhouston.com. 832-230-5490.
Thank you, Brandon. And we're going to another word with Steve Rosenberg. Well, Steve, is there any room in the cockpit there if I want to just tag along, or do they allow, or they frown on that?
You can do anything you want once.
Well, okay, there's words to live by. So,
That's
final
right.
word. Speaking of that, Steve, it would give people a little motivation. There's someone right now is saying, "I'm in a rut" or something. Quick motivational
Look, I
word.
think at the end of the day, it's we're halfway through 2025.
Yeah,
It's a new economy. It's a new era. It's a new everything. My question to people is it a new you? Because if you're still working with the same mindset and the same business plan that you had in the last economy, the last administration, the last whatever, COVID, and you're thinking that you're going to be successful when everything has changed, but you haven't, you have to change to change. And I get a lot of people that, you know, they want to be successful, they want to be rich, but what they really do is they complain about it and they talk about all the problems for months and years, and it takes a second to decide that you're going to change. It doesn't take months and years. It takes a second to decide you're going to do something different. And if you don't decide, indecision is a decision. SteveRosenberg.com, ROZENBERG, or they can find me on all the social media channels. And I do have business summits here every month here in Houston to help people.
there you go. Sounds good to me. And I want to say thanks. You know, our show is put together with a great team. And today we have Ann Pruitt right here. She's the branch manager of our historic office in Galveston. It's super awesome. She's doing tremendous work right there, along with Lisa Burris, developing business in a magnificent way, not to mention Stacy Tierheimer in Katy, Texas, and Fulshire, doing magnificent work right there. Reach out to any of our business development people wherever you're at. Certainly here in Houston, we have about 17 or so. Go to Stewart.com. And once again, the unforgettable Kevin Davidson. And it's Kevin that used to work with Steve Rosenberg, and it all comes together. Sometimes it takes years, but Kevin's doing fantastic work. Reach out to him in Sugar Land and Fort Bend. Kevin Davidson. It's phenomenal. And we thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik, together with all of us at Stewart Insurance and Stewart Title and John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance. We appreciate you listening. Simply go to stewart.com/radio. You can see and hear all the shows. The show archives are at stewart.com/radio. We'll see you next week.